7 News Adelaide with Rosanna Mangiarelli.
The state government's latest solution to fix the Springbank traffic logjam has descended into a slanging match. Angry local residents hijacked a media conference as the Transport Minister announced a sudden change of direction. Mike Smithson has more.
Driver frustration and frayed tempers are a way of life at this traffic intersection. Today, the Minister learned the hard way how to negotiate a tricky U-turn.
We've been asking, you dudded us once by coming out and saying that you've done this before you consulted.
So what's got them so fired up? The Liberals' much-hyped staggered T solution at Springbank, Goodwood and Daws Road is no more. After so-called public consultation, the government's now opting for a four-way intersection, almost identical to Labor's solution.
This is a fantastic win for the community that gets rid of the dogleg intersection once and for all.
But confused and fed-up locals say the Minister fails to explain how his new plan will work.
Most unhappy with you.
But this is precisely what we're doing here, and that's precisely the kind of feedback that we've received over the past couple of months.
Minister, is this part of the problem, that there is obviously frustration and confusion, and by this sudden announcement today, you're not helping that?
Not at all.
The Libs say the $60 million fix-it will occur by 2022, but their fly-through image doesn't explain linkage points or how much land will be acquired.
Stephen Marshall and Stephan Knoll's Backflip is the local community's win, and that's why it's a good thing.
So perhaps the most valuable lesson learned, be seen to consult. Anything less can land you in hot water.
The state government has abandoned the plan to keep two notorious intersections as a dogleg in a move being called a humiliating backflip. As Rory McLaren reports, it's going to cost taxpayers more than first thought to straighten the Springbank Road junction.
The U-turn on the proposal to overhaul this notorious junction comes just 2 months after the state and federal governments revealed their original plan to fix it. Protesters hijacking Infrastructure Minister Stephan Knoll's media conference today as he detailed the decision.
Tell us now, tell us today, tell us before the election what you're going to do.
The intersection rebuild has been a hot topic in the seat of Boothby during the federal election campaign.
We have been protesting constantly, and we have not heard anything official.
The initial plan kept the dogleg between Daws, Springbank and Goodwood Roads, but added extra lanes. That's now been scrapped in favour of one intersection, as called for by many. But it won't be cheap. The project costs jumping from $35 to $60 million.
This is what government should be doing, and that's listening to the local community, but also listening to the expert evidence. And when the information and the evidence changes, governments should change their mind.
Labor says the design is similar to its proposal.
Stephen Marshall and Stephan Knoll's Backflip is the local community's win.
But business owners remain in the dark about what's going to happen to them.
I don't think it's going to be too good for us, unfortunately, but hopefully the government will come forward with a reasonable offer for the place and the business.
Despite the backflip, the Infrastructure Minister is confident the project can still be finished by 2022.
This is 10 News First, Adelaide, with Rebecca Morse.
An embarrassing backflip by the state government over a notorious dogleg in Adelaide's inner south. The details are next. Angry protesters gate-crashed a media conference staged by the Infrastructure Minister today at a notorious intersection on Goodwood Road. Traffic congestion at the junction is a heated topic, but it's emerged protesters and the government are now on the same page.
The state government's backflip didn't go without further embarrassment.
We will have staff on the ground talking to affected stakeholders.
That's not good enough. We need to know now. We've been asking, you dudded us once.
Angry locals hijacking a press conference to demand a four-way intersection for Springbank, Goodwood and Daws Roads, and that's just what the government was announcing.
But this is precisely what we're doing here, and that's precisely the kind of feedback that we've received over the past couple of months.
A U-turn on the Staggered T solution announced just 2 months ago for a $60 million overhaul set to be complete by 2022. but there's not much detail in the concept image for the notorious dogleg in the marginal federal seat of Boothby.
Tell us now, tell us today, tell us before the election what you're going to do.
So we are really still distressed. We really want reassurance that you are deadly serious.
And local businesses want to know what will happen to them.
I don't think it's going to be too good for us, unfortunately, but hopefully the government will come forward with a reasonable offer for the place and the business.
A four-way intersection is exactly what Labor had promised in 2017, but the Infrastructure Minister claims his plan will be delivered sooner and cheaper than the former government's.
Their backflip is the local community's win. We've got the right outcome in the end. If Stephan Knoll had just listened to the advice in the first place and followed Labor's plan, they could have saved this embarrassment.
Chloe Boris for 10 News First.
The Transport Minister's been ambushed by protesters while announcing a U-turn to fix the Springbank Road traffic logjam. Stephan Knoll, I should say, came face to face with angry locals who claim his latest plan lacks clarity and consultation.
Now, we've been asking, you doubted us once by coming out and saying that you've done this before you consulted.
This became a tricky U-turn for the Transport Minister to navigate. He was trying to explain prudent consultation had resulted in Plan A, an upgraded Staggered T junction at the troublesome location, being replaced with a new four-way intersection. But his Plan B's virtually what Labor's already announced.
This is a fantastic win for the community that gets rid of the dogleg intersection once and for all.
But an angry community group continues to argue it's been kept in the dark. It demanded to know details on the spot, such as linkage points and land acquisition, with little outcome.
Most unhappy with you.
But this is precisely what we're doing here, and that's precisely the kind of feedback that we've received over the past couple of months.
Minister, is this part of the problem, that there is obviously frustration and confusion, and by this sudden announcement today, you're not helping that?
Not at all. I mean, as soon as we announced the intersection, we went out and had community meetings with the public.
The opposition says the minister's now squirming and chose the Premier's overseas absence to rebadge the $60 million project.
Stephen Marshall and Stephan Knoll's backflip is the local community's win, and that's why it's a good thing.
If all goes smoothly, it will be completed by 2022. Mike Smithson, 7 News.
Good evening, Emma Rebelato with ABC News. They first said an upgraded dogleg would do the job, but now the state government believes a realignment of the Springbank intersection in Adelaide South is the best road ahead. Labor says its original plan has been vindicated, while local landowners want more detail on the major upgrade.
A minister under fire over plans for an intersection upgrade.
Don't give us any of this crap with just a concept drawing. Show us what is needed to happen.
Springbank, Goodwood and Daws roads have long been a bottleneck for commuters, and with a federal election in 2 weeks' time, a potential political pain in the neck for the Liberals as they seek to retain the seat of Boothby. The government initially announced a plan to widen the existing dogleg, confident the project would be delivered quickly and cheaply.
It was very clear that the plan that we came up with was the optimal.
But not as far as locals were concerned, who argued it wouldn't solve the problem. Mere months later, that optimal plan has been scrapped to make way for a four-way intersection instead.
The feedback from that consultation was that there's a whole host of new information that wasn't available previously, especially in relation to people cutting through side streets. We've worked with the local councils to get that information.
We've got to have one intersection made here. That's what Labor put forward, and that's what the Liberals are now adopting, and we welcome that.
The government says the new project will cost $60 million and will be completed by 2022. But locals remain concerned about the compulsory acquisition of nearby land and say the government is still avoiding answering their questions.
So I get approached approximately 5 times a day by people just wanting to know what's happening. And all I can say is, well, we haven't got anything in writing, so until we get something in writing, we're still here.
We wanted a fix that worked and worked forever, not for a few years.
Construction is expected to begin next year. Ben Nielsen, ABC News, Adelaide.